Hey, Dad, what's the best way to budget?
Yeah, that's right. We were going to talk about that because, hey, in order to save, you can't save what you don't have, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you got too much going out and not enough coming in, there's not anything left to save. Even though we don't want to save after what's left over, we want to save first. At the end of the day, we still have to have a strategic budget, right? I mean, I could challenge you into bringing me a list of all the bills and everything you have, and we can get real specific.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I'll ask you. I mean, is it fair to say that you have more coming in than what's going out
Yeah.
when you put it on paper?
Yeah.
So the rule of thumb that I like. First of all, do you even know what a budget is?
I mean, just pretty much watching while I'm spending. I mean,
Kind of, right? But it's actually a projection. I mean, I've got, for a allotted period of time, you can do a monthly budget, you can do an annual budget. How much, it's a projection of what's coming in versus what's going out, and creating a plan around that, right? Even from an annual basis. So we have a month-to-month budget. Every month, I got this bill coming out. I want my food expense to be around this much, my entertainment expense to be around this much. You stick within that budget, right? But when you look at things from an annual basis, not every month's the same. There's holidays, right? And you tend to find like in December, you're spending more than you would in your normal budget. So what I like to do, first of all, is look at everything from an annual perspective, and then break it down monthly. Okay, so for example, if I know every year Christmas comes, and every year I'm having to put money aside between you and your four siblings, right?
mm-hmm.
And so instead of doing it at the last minute, we actually put money aside each month. We figure, okay, in birthdays, so holidays and birthdays, we allot a certain amount of money that goes aside each month for that in a separate savings, but for that reason.
Right.
So that could be a part of a budget. But let's back up here a little bit and look at it from this rule. I like this rule. It's not an exact rule, but I like this rule. It's the 50-30-20 rule. 50%, and you might have to work your way into this position, right? You might not have enough income versus what's going out to fit the scenario I'm about to give you. But on the 50-30-20 rule, it's this. 50% of necessities and bills. So 50% of your check is your necessities and bills. What are necessities? Food, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your utilities, your truck payment, your insurance, right? Those absolute things. Now, does it mean we can get some of those things down in order to fit? Yeah. But 50%, you want that to not exceed 50% of your net income. And by the way, I'm going to back up a little bit here too. Obviously, establish what it is your net income is. What are you taking home when you do this? Then I want you to allow 30% for entertainment, for wants. Things that I don't have to have that. I'm just doing it because I want to, and I can. Or, to find some purpose in my 40, 50-hour week job, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's your entertainment. Maybe that entertainment also commingles with food. I mean, let's face it. We can eat for $5 or we can eat for, $200. Maybe part of that's entertainment if food entertains you like it does me. But so figure that in your budget. And then that leaves 20% to use for savings and or paying down debt. Make sense? So if there was some credit card debt that got out of control, hey, that needs to be used to help bring that down. That 20%, if that debt's under control, that means that's 20% that you could have going into your savings for investments and future things and stuff going forward. So start there and start under that parameter. And it's also a good barometer before you commit to something that might involve a monthly payment. Maybe you're going to trade your truck in for another vehicle or something. Then you want to look at that and say, you know what? Based on my truck payment, my insurance, and my necessities, this is all the payment I can afford.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to exceed that, right? So don't make any commitments that are going to take your bills above 50% of your income. Now, you make more income in the future, and you will. then you can adjust accordingly, but live by that rule. When we live, so this full circles back to our first question about, what was the first question about savings? What's the best way to save, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this full circles back. Once we have that budget established, full circles back to what we talked about. Now you're having this stuff automatically come out. It's closely related to that payment or to the day you get paid. So I don't care if you're getting paid on the 18th of each month and you're getting paid on the 3rd of each month. I don't care that truck payment is not due until the 12th. I'm not going to wait till the 12th to pay it. I'm going to have it paid about the same day or the day after that I get the money. It's out of my account. Because again, we're going to live and work off of what's left over. In this case, we're going to control our setting. But it still needs to be outlined within a budget.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense? And when you do that, and your savings comes out automatically, and those bills come out automatically throughout this process, it's going to make it a lot easier. And then, because a lot of these things are going to fall under the 50% necessity rule, it's going to then make it a lot easier to then use that 30% to be frivolous with, or to just, be impulsive with, or to have fun, the want part of things. My 20% is covered, the money I'm putting in the savings and using to have cover debt, paying off old debt or putting in the savings. My 50%'s already coming out each payday because I've already got those particular bills coming out at the same time. I'm not having to anticipate. And then what I have left over, if I spend it all, I spend it all. My budget's been covered. And when you're looking at some annual things that are coming up, well, then fit that into your budget. Adjust, I was telling you to have your savings come out automatically to a credit union across town so it's hard to get to, or to a different bank that's not attached to your bank. If you see an opportunity where, holidays come every year, this situation happens every year, I've got maybe this quarterly bill or this thing, you've anticipated that, well, then just break it down in a monthly budget and have that come out automatically as well in a monthly increment away from your day-to-day spending checking account. So, does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
All right, so what I want you to do is when you get home tonight is do exactly that. Pull your checking account out. Here's the best way to do it. Pull your checking account out, look at your statement, and make some categories. First of all, what are those bills that are coming out? Even the little miscellaneous stuff like your Apple iTunes or your your Disney Channel, whatever the crap is that comes out automatically. Put all those things down. Write them down. The dates they come out, all those things. Now, then question yourself, what do I need any of this? Do I use this stuff? And if not, cancel it.
Okay.
Right? I mean, get rid of what you can get rid of. Sometimes those reoccurring bills can eat your lunch. But get all that written down. And then write down how much did you spend on food? How much did you spend on gas? How much of that was frivolous?
Mm-hmm.
What could you actually live on with a food budget? What could you actually get away with a gas budget? And then that's going to leave your margin again for that 30% that we talked about, 50% necessities. So what can we do to take all that to get us down to 50%, and then leaving me 20% to put back in savings? And if you've looked at this every way that you know how, at least get it to 10, or keep it at 20. And instead of having 30% of your check each month, so if you get $1,000, instead of $300 every 2 weeks for frivolous or whatever it is you want to do, then take it down to 2. Then adjust it to 20% until you can build back up to the 30. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But you're going to have to write it down. Take the time, son. Take the time. Write it down. What is this? Total it up.
Okay.
You're going to find some surprises in there when you do this. You're going to look and see some things and go, I'm eating too much. I'm playing too much, or maybe there's things, where in those areas can I throw some disciplines in there? Okay? And then have your plan, set everything up accordingly, and then you'll find yourself adjusting and living accordingly, right?
Right.
You get a raise, you got some other contracts and stuff that are coming in, then adjust it accordingly. I like adjusting to savings and paying off debt when you adjust accordingly, personally.
Mm-hmm.
But if that, if you don't recalibrate your budget at that point, what you'll find is it'll go into that 30% all of a sudden turns into 50%. The frivolous part, the want to part, right? Or it'll turn into another payment of some form. So be very careful. Live by that rule and make that a template.
Okay.
All right?
All right. Thanks, Dad.
You're welcome. So what are you going to do when you go home?
I'm gonna go make a statement and write it all down.
You're going to pull your bank statements
Yeah.
and just
look at
scrutinize them.
everything.
Put them in a category.
Right.
All
Yeah.
right. Because why?
Because it's gonna help me budget.
Yeah.
It's gonna help me save.
Because we want to do this duplex, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I gotta get the duplex.
We got your credit in the right track.
Yeah. Yeah. All I need is I just gotta get my money right,
We got to get
savings
cash
right,
right.
and then I'll be ready.
Let's do it.
Okay.
See you on the next one.